So, you want to be a hunter. This is part 5. I promised you a video about the gear that I've put together for going hunting, and I hadn't done it yet. Sorry about that. I'm a little late on the draw, but it's important that I do it. And some of you will have other ideas and suggestions for things that you see are missing or things I should change. Others of you will say, boy, he's got more stuff than I thought of. You know, it just depends on who you are and what your experience level is. I've been watching a lot of the videos and that different people have made about what they have in their packs, but I thought, you know what if you were packing to go hunting? It's more than just what fits in your pack. So I tried to put together everything I could think of. And there's a few things that aren't here. For example, my 4x4, my truck, it's out in the garage. I couldn't fit it in my kitchen. The coolers for the meat, I need to have a couple of those handy so that when I go up there, depending on the size, I mean if it's a moose, hey, I'm going to need 2 or 3 coolers. So those aren't here. Rain gear, I've got different types of rain gear. I just didn't think to bring it down, but I suppose that would be important if it's a bad weather day. Last but not least, the guitar. When I'm back in camp, I love to play the guitar, so I want to bring that or the mandolin or something to amuse myself. Not to scare the animals away. You're not going to see my head as we go through these items because I've got to stand up, but I'll take you through everything that's here and we'll call it a day. First and foremost, yeah, you got to have your weapon. In my case, the rifle. This one happens to be a 45-70. One heck of a kick on this thing. And of course you might want to have a case with you to carry it in when you're not using it. So I have one of those available to me. Let's see. The backpack itself, I just chose one at random. Obviously I didn't choose expensive. I just chose inexpensive. But it's got a couple of pockets and it's got a good size base into it, and of course it's a knapsack type thing with a strap that goes around the front. An ammo case with a good lock. I like this plastic one. It's great for that. Obviously you need ammo, so got some of that. Expensive stuff, these 45-70 shells, $32 a box. Let's see, I'll just work my way this way by finishing off over here. You're going to need a good pair of boots for the woods, whether you're using these duck boot types or military boots. I've got both, but I think it's important to have a good pair of boots for tromping through the woods, something that's going to keep your feet dry and also going to have some tread on it. I bought one of these. I saw a couple of people that have had these wraps that go around the butt end of the rifle, keeping 8 or 10 rounds on here. Bags. Well, there's a bag here for my hunting license. There's a bag here for the tags that I need to tag the animals with, just to make sure I can keep them dry when they're not being used. And another bag for meat or anything else, dirty laundry, whatever. I think it's a good idea to keep another bag around. So bags, that's always a good thing. I want to clean my gun before I go out in the woods, but just in case I'm out there and it gets dirty for some reason, I've got a bore snake here that works really well, and a bore scope to be able to look down inside and make sure that it's clean. Pair of binoculars, no matter what brand you choose. Again, in a lot of cases here, I went on the cheap side. I didn't necessarily buy the best of the best. But a pair of binoculars, usually it comes with a case that you can put them in. A canteen for water. I've seen some folks that have those little purification tablets you put in there if the water goes rank on you. I don't happen to have any of those, but I like the canteen with the belt. A first aid kit. You know, some of the stores have first aid kits that are really expensive. I wanted a basic kit, but I didn't want to spend a lot of money, and I believe this was Walmart. Really inexpensive, but yet complete kit for just basic first aid. Moving this way a little bit, Here's a sandwich bag that's got dryer lint in it. Wonderful for starting fires. And while we're talking about fires, I've got 3 or 4 pieces of fat wood here. Heavily resonated pieces of wood that I use for the wood stove here at the house. But once you got the fire going, you want to have a little bit of encouragement there once the fire is actually lit. So some fat wood for that. Also, in terms of lighting it, I found the blast match, which I really liked, and somebody recommended you get orange because if you're in the woods at night, you're not going to see the black one. So I got the orange one. And the magnesium cube called Wet Fire, where you scrape off a little bit of it to help encourage the flame get going when you're starting your fire. I kind of skipped over a couple of things. Let me backpedal. Some plastic gloves when you're cleaning the animal. I've seen a number of people use them when they're digging inside the gut of the animal. I think it's a good idea. In terms of gutting the animal, a couple of knives. I've got a Buck 105 and a Gen 5 also made by Buck. One's a short blade and one's a longer blade. I figured probably a good idea to have one of each, depending on where you're cutting and what you're cutting. Also, a knife sharpening tool. One of these is kind of handy. It's got a fine grit and another grade of grit on the other side. I like this a lot for keeping a knife sharp when you need it. A reasonable compass. I didn't spend a lot of money on this. I got the cheaper version of this military style compass, but it works. What about clothing? And that's really where we're going to wrap up here in terms of what I'm bringing. It doesn't matter whether you're bringing the old style camo or the camo that came from, you know, Desert Storm. Something that helps you blend in. I kind of think this would probably blend in better than the Desert Storm stuff, but either way, some sort of camo. Here I have a field jacket and a pair of pants. I don't have the shirt. Here in the case of the Desert Storm stuff, I have the shirt and the pants. And of course orange for the requirements that, you know, the states have. Here's a vest and a hat. There's also one other item that isn't here yet, and that's some fingerless gloves. I thought that would be a good idea. You want them fingerless so that you can shoot the weapon without, you know, fighting with a glove, but at the same time keeping your hands warm. That's something else I haven't got here yet. And of course, something as basic as another change of clothes. Socks, long underwear, a good heavy sweater, a nice pair of denim jeans to be out in the woods with. So that's it. That's pretty much where I'm at with putting stuff together. Now, where am I in the process of getting ready to go hunting? Well, as you know, my goal is to be out on a hunt in the fall of 2013. And I've been very carefully studying the laws, particularly the state of Maine, which is where I'll probably head first. And with regard to hunting in that state, with regard to the seasons relative to the different types of animals and the kinds of weapons you can use, and trying to make sure that I cross all my T's and dot all my I's in preparation for that trip. And I'm tapping into the knowledge of people that live there and know those laws and know the land better than I ever did, as well as people who are hunters who are here. I'm going to be meeting with a fella in another week who is a hunter, and I meet with people at work who are hunters all the time, and I'm picking their brains about different ways of approaching things. A couple of the issues right now are getting registered for a hunting safety course. As soon as they come up, they fill up within hours, literally. The classes are full, so I have to watch that, and I'm trying to watch that zealously so I can get that done and over with. Another thing is you have to have a license in another state before you apply to Maine, so I would go out and get my local state of Connecticut hunting license so that when I go for the Maine license, I already have had a Connecticut license, even if I don't hunt here this coming fall. Another issue that's a big one for me is the scope on this rifle. I'm really at a stage right now where I'm tempted to take the scope off of there and use the iron sights. I've heard some people say, you know what, you ought to be good with iron sights anyway. And of course the other thing is I was going to try to cantilever it forward a little bit. I'm just trying to avoid the potential for an eye whack, and as you know, if you've shot a 45-70, it's got a decent kick to it. I can handle the kick, but I didn't like getting hit in the nose. So, and the first round I fired with this thing, I got hit in the nose by the scope. and I didn't make that mistake again. Another issue I'm dealing with is because of that scope and because I got tagged that first time, I've got a little bit of flinch. So I'm trying to work that out and get rid of that. You know, I fired a 30-06 and a 30-30 and other weapons before, so I'm not brand new to this, but it's still something I need to overcome, something I need to work on. And I had made a trip up to my local hunting outfitter store recently to talk to them about options for the rifle. Peep scopes, I think they're called, the little round discs that you can put on the back, for example, or the cantilever idea, or an alternate type of scope like a red dot, which I kind of got talked out of because they said, you know what, the red dots aren't going to hold up to the recoil of the gun. They're not going to stay zeroed in. So those are some of the issues that I'm dealing with right now. That's kind of where we stand. This is So You Want to Be a Hunter, Part 5. Part 6 coming up soon, I promise.